Hi there, BookTube! My name is Christina and welcome back to Novel Niche. Well, it's been a long while since the last time that I filmed a vlog video, and for whatever reason I really start wanting to film vlogs during springtime. So it happened last year and now it's happening again. I kind of stopped in the past, but spring really brings me that joy and desire to share things, probably. So here I am during middle grade March, and I decided to make this kind of vlog that will probably last the whole month. I'm not sure about it, but I just wanted to share with you a couple of experiences about how my reading is going during middle grade March, and just share with you what's going on. So the very first thing that I would love to tell you is that today I'm finally fine. Yesterday was kind of a bad day because the day before I had my first part of vaccination, not sure, English, yeah, the thing that I'm supposed to know and sometimes I forget. Anyhow, it was the first part, and in the evening I was feeling great. Then yesterday, unfortunately, as it always happened to me since I was a child, the day after I always feel awful, so I had a bit of a fever and just a bit of aching everywhere. And today I woke up feeling so great, so amazing. I was so energized and pumped. I kind of like washed everything, cleaned everything. I was bouncing at the walls practically. So yeah, it's a great day, and now I'm ready to get back to reading a little bit. Yesterday, even if I wasn't feeling well, the great part is that I actually managed to finish my first book for middle grade March, and it was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Titans Curse. So this is the third one in the series. I'm so glad that I'm going on with this series finally, and I just finished it in between yesterday and this morning, the last 10 pages. Like I left them for this morning because I was feeling too tired yesterday to understand what I was reading at that point. And if you're not familiar, of course, this is a middle grade book. This is an adventure about a young boy who discovers that he is a demigod. So he's the son of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, and he discovers that he's a half-blood, so he's a hero, and he needs to go through a training at a place that's called Half-Blood Camp, and this is his adventures. So that's the third book, so I don't want to spoil anything to anyone. Just tell you that this is the shortest one probably. It's like 312 pages. It took me just like 3 or 4 days maybe to read it, considering that I was reading it only in the evenings. And it's overall a great adventure. It's funny, it's really adventurous. There are like little to no space for like relaxed moments. It's almost only like action. So if you're in for something like that, that's a great series for children and middle graders and adults too. And I just wanted to share with you a quote that the only quote that I saved from this book, because I really loved it. And the quote is, "To save a friend, you would sacrifice the world." I balled my fists. That's not a flaw, just because I want to help my friends. The most dangerous flaws are those which are good in moderation, she said. Evil is easy to fight. Lack of wisdom, that is very hard indeed. I wanted to argue, but I found I couldn't. Athena was pretty darn smart. And I just loved it, and it's so true. Sometimes the worst flaws are things that are kind of great in a person in moderation. So that's a great message here. And yeah, so one last book to read. This was the one that I was doing for, I have here my prompts on my little notebook that I'm using for BookTube, and this one was for retellings or fairy tale vibes because it's a Greek retelling but then it's also an adventure, so it works for that one. Or it can go with a book with a silhouette, since you don't really see his face, he's like very silhouette-like. So this is what I'm going for. So this possibly can take out 3 books in one, but I will go for just one. And then the next one that I'm picking right now, that I'm starting, or currently, like immediately when I will put down the camera, is Mary Poppins, and the first, of course, story of Mary Poppins. I have this humongous collection of all of the stories. It's very big, but the first story is like 130 pages long. So this is a story that I will be reading at home, because I cannot bring it with me to the office. It's just too heavy for no reason. So I will be reading it at home, and maybe I will read it in like 2 or 3 evenings, because 130 pages, I hope that I will be able to go through them. And something that I discovered, I know that it's silly, but something that I discovered reading the first 2 pages is that actually the author's name was Pamela, and I wasn't aware about that, and that she lived for like 97 years. She was born in 1899, so she lived pretty much a century, and she'd seen the First World War, the Second World War, and that's just amazing. So yeah, that's my next read. And then I have to pick something that I will be reading like on a normal daily basis, maybe during lunches or things like that. And what I have here, physically I can go for Hollowbox or 15 Years Old Captain, because all the others are audiobooks. So I don't know, I will think about it, maybe I will pick it tomorrow. And I've shown you before, this is my, don't call it a dream, call it a plan. This is my notebook that I'm using for booktube purpose, pretty much. And originally this was the Happy Planner, but it was for like 2 years ago, probably, or 3 years ago, and I tried. I had this great idea of trying and planning everything properly, but it really never worked for me, so I decided to repurpose it, kinda, and give it a different purpose, pretty much. So now I'm using this for booktube, and I'm organizing everything else on Notion, because it's working just better for me. So yeah, these are the updates so far in my life and for middle grade March. And if you're watching this, if you're participating, let me know down below what are you reading, what were your reads, if I will publish this at the end of March, which is kind of highly probable, but we'll see. And I will see you the next day that I will be filming. And here we are at the 20th of March. I know, I'm so very late. I was supposed to film last week and the week before, I believe, at this point, but they weren't very great weeks. We are currently searching for a new home, and well, it's an adventure, because we found like the perfect home. We made our proposal, like it's called a proposal in Italian, but I think that in English it only means when you propose to a woman or a man or your beloved one. And so I don't know, I mean, it's the phase in which you're kind of put the money on the table and you agree on the amount of money. And we were so close at getting to our perfect home, dream home, but unfortunately at the very last moment the family decided to keep the house, because they decided that it has like sentimental value and they want to keep it. After a year that house was out there to be sold. So yeah, that's the kind of fortune that I have, just to give you a general idea. So we're searching home again, we're going watching around and seeing about a bunch of houses. Today we went for 2 different appointments, and now we're a bit confused because we have 2 houses that are very interesting. None of them is as perfect as the one that we unfortunately lost, but we will see what happens. Anyhow, here we are for the kind of updates for this middle grade March. So right now I am, sorry, my hair doesn't want to stay in place. So right now I'm listening to Blended, and so far so good, I have to say. It's read by the author, and this is always a great plus. And then I'm currently reading the physical edition of Mary Poppins, and I'm at page 50, which means that I have 90 pages to read, and I will see if I will be able to do so during this weekend, because now it's Saturday, it's the afternoon of Saturday. I have a bunch of things to do here at home, and tomorrow too, like cleaning and stuff like that, but I hope that I will still be able to get to it. And I am finally reading the ebook for Snow and Rose. It has these beautiful, lovely illustrations, and I have to admit that I'm loving this book so far. It's more like on a children's side, very fairy tale-like, a very great retelling, and right now I'm at page 100 of 175. So I'm kinda far, my hair. I'm kind of far into the story, and I hope that I will be able maybe to finish this one today and Mary Poppins tomorrow. Who knows? Or if I will be cleaning, maybe I will give a chance to the audiobook. So I have a bunch of books that I'm reading right now. Then I finished this week Peggy Sue and the Invisibles. I don't remember that I don't think that it was included in my middle grade TBR. It was more like in my spring TBR, but I read it since I borrowed it from the library, and I will not continue with that series. It was a bit of a bummer because I had such high hopes due to the fact that I wished to read that book for like ages, decades, and it's not that it was a bad book, but I don't know, it was strange. I wasn't feeling it that much. It was kind of creepy, and but not in a good way, like scary in some parts and just unsettling in some others. I mean, people trying to eat their children, and like a whole population going bonkers, and it's just I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan. I don't want to see where the story goes. I just read, I know you're not supposed to do it, but I just read the summaries of the next books, and I'm not interested. So I believe that these are all of the updates right now. What else I read? Have I finished anything else? No, I think that this is it. I finished Percy Jackson, but you already know it because I believe that I spoke about it in my previous part of this video. So yeah, right now my plans for this middle grade March is for sure to finish Snow and Rose, to finish Mary Poppins and Blended. I don't think that I will be able to finish anything else because, let's face it, I have just 1 week and a couple of days, I believe. So that's not gonna happen, realistically speaking. But nonetheless, I will give it a try, and maybe I will be able to start 15 Years Old Captain or Mew Squad. That's an audiobook that I'm very excited to read. The only reason why I'm not listened to it immediately is that I just read Percy Jackson at the beginning of the month, and I didn't want to like clash two stories all about Greek myths altogether. So yeah, these are my reading updates and kinda life updates, plus what's new. Yeah, we're again in a sort of a lockdown. For me, it's not exactly a lockdown because I just stayed at home like for 2 months, 1 month and a half last year in March and April, and then since then I always go to work in the office. So for me, the situation is a little bit blended, a little bit like a mix of lockdown and not. The only real difference that I'm feeling is that we cannot travel, I cannot go and walk around, and again I'm watching everything bloom from the window, which is the part that kinda is a bit depressing because I really would love to be out there touching the flowers and enjoying the sunlight and things like that, but we're stuck at home. I mean, better safe than risk it, but still it's a little bit of a bummer. But I know that it's like that for everyone. I had my first shot of vaccine, and now I'm waiting for the second one that will happen in the end of May. funny thing, I don't remember if I told it in the first part of the video, but my second shot of vaccination is planned for what was supposed to be my wedding day, because I had to move my wedding, so that's a fun story for the next time. And so yeah, these are all the updates. I hope that you are feeling well, considering the situation, that you're feeling good and that you're enjoying the simplest things in life, because that's what we have and we need to cherish it and enjoy it. So I will see you for the last update of this vlog, probably next week at this point. Bye! And today is Thursday, the 24th, 5th, who knows at this point. And these days I'm staying at home because we had a couple of people who resulted positive, and so now, as a way of kind of being cautious and extra careful, I'm staying at home and I'm working from home. Now my working hours are finally over, so I'm here for a couple of updates. Unfortunately, I've not finished Mary Poppins yet. It's this brick behind me and I'm still at page 70 something, I believe, so I've not finished that one yet. And what else? I actually finished 2 more books. I believe that I've not spoken about it yet. That's the problem of filming very long vlogs. You don't remember what you've talked about in the previous kind of episodes. So I actually finished Snow and Rose. It's a lovely fairy tale retelling. I enjoyed it so much. I believe that I will in the future try and buy for myself a physical copy, because I love the illustrations. It's short, it's sweet, and it's very fairy tale like, meaning that the ending is very sudden and everything kind of resolves in an easy way, but it's a fairy tale, so it's perfect like that. I love the interaction between sisters, that they were very different. One of them was more thoughtful and more considerate of others, whilst the other one was the youngest and she was a little bit more outspoken, a little bit more like, I don't know, maybe just she wasn't exactly aggressive. It's just that she's a young child. She had like 9 years old, and so she just speaks her mind without thinking about consequences, even if sometimes what she tells is a little bit so I just enjoyed that book. It was a cute little read, and if you're looking for something like that, I definitely suggest it. And then I finished listening to Blended, and it was a middle grade, it is a middle grade, about an American 11 years old biracial girl who is half white and half black. She is the daughter of 2 divorced people, so she lives half of her way in a home and the other half in another home. So she's not only kind of biracial and having like 2 identities, or better, 1 identity that's formed by 2 different elements. She's also living kind of a double life, because she spends 1 week at one's parents' house and the other one at the other one's, and so it's very difficult and complicated. And this book deals with a bunch of kind of hard but very important and very real topics. Of course, we're talking about race and racism, and the author tries to introduce this matter in an impactful yet kind of very understandable way for young readers. And plus she deals with family matters and with divorce, I believe, not sure about it, and how it's hard and what it means and why people divorce and how it is possible that they will be happier with someone else, and you can be happy having 2 families and all that goes around that topic. And again, it's a sensitive one, and the author does a pretty good job in dealing with it, like showing the feelings, the raw feelings of a young girl, and it's very impactful. The thing that maybe may put someone off is that by the end of the book, at the very end, there is a very harsh thing, violent thing that happens. It's still a happy ending, so it doesn't end on a negative note. If it's something that may kind of push you away from the book, but something huge and horrible happens at a certain point, and at the end everything is kind of too cheery and easy. So that's something. So I believe that this book is a great starting point. Like, it's a great book to read in class, or maybe like as a book club book, because there is a bunch of different themes, and those are well introduced, but there is not a real ending to each and every matter that the author introduces. So I believe that it's up to the reader to go on to further research and to understand better, and to just try and find like the perfect ending for that matter. So you really have to read it to understand it. But if you're expecting to start a book and end the book with like a full package with everything already given to you, that's not the kind of book. This book starts a discussion, it doesn't end it, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I believe that it's also important to have books that don't give you all of the answers, and you have to go and search and ask questions. I loved doing it when I was a child, and I believe that a lot of young people would love to do so. So I really appreciated it. Plus, I listened to the audiobook that was narrated by the author, and that's always a huge plus. And our main protagonist is a music lover, she's a pianist, so that aspect too was lovely. How she describes her life thanks to music was very, very interesting. And now I started listening to Love, Sugar, Magic, and I believe that I got the idea that this is the last installment, so it's a trilogy, and I would be so sad to finish it, but I can't wait. I just listened like to maybe 3 sentences from the audiobook, but I'm already feeling the nostalgia, so I'm in love with that series, and I hope that I will enjoy that book. And what else? At this point I have to kind of try and finish Mary Poppins and maybe start the 15-year-old Captain. I won't have the time to finish it for sure before the end of the month, but I will give it a try. Plus, right now it has nothing to do with middle grade March, but I'm actually reading a physical book currently, and it's Ti ho amata per la tua voce by Selim Nasib, sorry for the pronunciation, and this is a fictional retelling of the real life of a real singer who really existed. Her name was, sorry for the pronunciation again, was Kalthum, and she was very, very famous, like crazy famous all around the world, and in Egypt and in the Arabic world in general. She's so well loved up till today. You can listen to her music on YouTube, of course you can find everything, and this is my library copy. As you may see, this book is strangely like impossible to find at local shops or generally at bookshops for whatever reason, so I have it from my library. That's amazing, and I'm reading it because my teacher, my belly dance teacher, actually suggested me to read it, and I'm loving it so far. It's probably the first time, no, it's not the first time, because I already read something by Hosseini in the past, but it's the first time that I'm reading something written by, how is it called? The general term is like Mid-Eastern Arabic. I'm not sure about this, so sorry for if I'm miscategorizing this definition, but let's go with a Middle Eastern writer or Arabic writer. So it's the first time for me, and I'm really loving the way this book is translated. It's in Italian, of course, but it's been translated in many languages from what I know, and I'm enjoying it. I'm quite at the beginning, like 50 or 60 pages into it, but it's not very long. It's less than 300 pages, and I hope to read it very quickly because this is due 1st April at my library, so I have to give it back very soon, and I have to give it a try and finish it. Yeah, so these were the updates. I hope to be able to read, maybe finish a couple more books, but I'm not so sure. So we'll see what happens. Maybe this is the last time you see me, maybe not, I hope not. So for this vlog, of course. But yeah, see you later. And here we are with the last update for this middle grade March. Finally, I'm able to be here on the outside, and it's such a lovely spring day. I'm just sitting nearby some flowers for the spring factor. And as an update, I'm here with the last novel that I was able to finish, and it was the very first installment in the Mary Poppins series. This volume has 7 books in it, and I read the first one, and it was such a lovely experience. It's actually a mixture for me personally of the Julie Andrews Mary Poppins and the Mary Poppins that I used to watch when I was a child in Russia, and a lot of elements of this book are present in that and the other story, and it's a very episodic story. So I wasn't a huge fan, but it was still lovely because I have so many fond memories of that movies, and overall it was a very pleasant experience. And right now I'm listening to Love, Sugar, Magic, the 3rd book, but I don't know, and I'm not sure if I will be able to finish that one in the next 2 days. So I believe that this is a wrap for middle grade March. As always, it was a lovely experience. It was so fun to just delve into middle grades. They're always lovely and cute and just bring happiness. So why not to have some happiness during this period of time? And this is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this strange vlog, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye! Ciao!